Good, man. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Look at this place. This place is actually good to see now.
Right? I know. Doesn't it look nice?
I remember
Some floors.
when we came in here the first time. This place was a mess. Like, it was an 1800s, old, vintage. Nothing had really been changed. Baseboards were mismatched.
Oh, yeah.
Doors were barely hanging on. All wood, falling apart, decrepit. And now we have a functional apartment in here. This is amazing.
Yeah. Don't forget the speed bump.
Yes.
We did have the speed bump through the two
Oh my
rooms
goodness.
there.
Yeah, the ski jump between the two. It literally changed about 6 inches in flooring over like less than 4 feet. It was crazy. So this is amazing to see this all put together. Now the flooring's down. This is a livable apartment. How about you give us a little bit of a perspective of this project for you? I mean, this is a project you did for a client.
Yeah.
This is a little bit different than your basic, accessory apartment. Like, this is a little nuances to it that you wouldn't usually get in a 1960s home as opposed to an 1800s home. So give us an idea of some of the things that you had to go through on this project.
A house this old comes with a lot of tricky, kind of challenging problems. And kind of every time you get into something or try to fix something, you're risking the getting into another problem, right? You open up a wall and you may be looking at some kind of framing issue, something that needs to be fixed.
Yeah, so talk a little bit about that, because I mean, obviously, to make every wall straight, you'd have to rip everything down to make it right. To make every floor level and true, you'd have to rip everything out. So what were some of the ways in which you worked around that to make everything look as level and as square as you possibly could, without making everything 100% that you've done and see everything out of whack that was there?
Right. Yeah, so we work with the customer because it's really about budget. Like you said, it doesn't make sense to rip out absolutely everything and start fresh. You're going to be too in the hole before you start renting, right? So we work with the customer on their budget to get a more appeasing look throughout. And I think overall it's come together really well. Like a lot of these window casings are, actually all of the window casings around are the old ones. So we've saved them, restored them a little bit based on budget again.
Gotcha. So let's talk a little bit more about marrying old to new and trying to salvage. I know I did a project up on Salina Road once where we ended up trying to restore all the existing baseboards. And by the time it was done, I spent 2 weeks over top of a table saw to try and match everything, and it was a nightmare. Tell me, what was the deciding factor? Where did you guys decide to draw the line between trying to save what was there, trying to make it economical, and just saying, you know what, let's just make this brand new?
Right, and again, it comes down to the customer and their budget, right? Because anything's possible with the right amount of money. The only problem with that is spending so much that it doesn't make sense for someone who's going to be renting it. This is a business, to be honest, right? So yeah, it's mostly a communication between me and the customer to make that decision, on the budget and the look we're going for.
Gotcha. So this being phase one has been more of like, let's pull off and use that other stuff for phase two as sort of like a recycling project where we know we can make it work. Because again, there were like 4 different types of baseboard too, which makes it difficult, right? Yeah. But I like what you did. You actually saved all of the existing casings, and we just basically did an insert window in all of these applications.
Yep,
right?
A retrofit is what the window guy did. So my window guy did a great job. These windows are all brand new. Throughout, he managed to cap them on the outside, make them look like they belong here, and use the existing brickwork, so he didn't have to make any changes.
Yeah. Now, I don't know how much you can speak to of this. I mean, obviously, you're the contractor in the situation, not the real estate investor, but I think, if I remember correctly, originally this unit was renting for probably around like $1,000 a month. Where are we at now with all the fix-ups on here? What is this going to be renting for?
So this, I don't remember what they signed at exactly, but I think they're going to be between $1,850 and $1,950.
Wow, that is a major increase. That is awesome. Yeah. Awesome. So definitely worth the return on investment on this apartment.
Yeah, you got to take into account too the new appraisal on the place, right? So the worth of the whole building has gone up considerably. So I haven't heard those numbers. I don't believe she'll get an appraisal till, you know, all 3 units are done, but I know that's where this is going, right? So she's definitely getting a great return on her money by doing the renos, by getting new tenants in here, getting market rent. So I also invest, as you know, so I know that this project's gonna turn out well for her. So it was a good investment.
Okay, so we've talked about the bathroom, but we haven't necessarily talked about plumbing. And I know plumbing has probably been a bit of a challenge on this one as well too. And I'll marry that with the fact that you did a perfect segue. We were just talking about the client, and I know that the client made a few changes as we went through this. She made some modifications into the layout and design. One of those things is right behind you, where the laundry ended up in a closet right here off the kitchen. So give us a little rundown what that was like and what kind of challenges you ran into with plumbing being moved from where it originally was.
Sure. So yeah, you can run into problems on these old houses. A lot of the time, it's the code back then was a hell of a lot different than it is now. Meaning you've got like 1.25 inch drain and copper drain and, you know, old cast iron pipe and stuff that you don't deal with today. So that poses a challenge, makes it a little more expensive. But also, in this particular case, my plumbers came in, had a good look, and unfortunately couldn't get tied on to the stack. People sometimes don't remember that this is like dominoes, right? So in the construction and contracting business, it's like dominoes. So, you know, you hit this domino and a bunch of other things. So the changes can sometimes be very costly and affect a lot of other pieces. So you want to have your plan set up, you know what I mean, with a good architect. But,
shout out to Home Drafting and Design.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's your commercial. But honestly, have a good working relationship with your architect, because planning those things in advance can help save you a lot of money down the road.
Awesome. Now, maybe just talk a little bit about pre-planning here too, because we have a unit directly above us, and there were structural changes that happen up above us. There's going to be the same type of thing happening between Unit 2 and Unit 3 as we get into the back section over here, or depending on how the plans change, it might be all Unit 3. But in this case, we had to be prepared for changes that were going to happen upstairs down the road, doing it in phases. What was that like, trying to do that pre-planning down here so everything's set for when you go upstairs, so you don't have to come down here and start opening things back up again?
Yeah, so that definitely presents a challenge, and it was a tough one. I know you and I had a lot of phone calls to sort some of these items out, because you have to think ahead a long way. I'm used to thinking ahead by the week or a couple of weeks, and we go in order of things. Now, it wasn't just this unit. Now we're thinking ahead about Unit 2 and its structural piece.
Gotcha. Okay, so quick speed round here for you. What was your favorite part of a project like this?
My favorite part of this project was the hardest part of this project, which was the steel beams in the basement. Call me a masochist, but I've been in the office a lot lately, haven't got to work with my boys on site, and wasn't gonna let them do that without me. So I was here lifting these 600-pound beams with them and getting these beams in place and lifting the house. And that was probably, you know, exciting for me, because I haven't been on the tools much.
Right on. Most challenging part of this project?
Most challenging part of this project was all the changes and challenges, because things kept changing so often with what our plan was. It was very hard to stay on track and on schedule.
And if you had a choice between doing a project like this with an old place, or doing a 1960s home, or doing a brand new build, what would you say is your favorite project to work on?
Again, call me a masochist, but I love these. I love them for the heritage and being able to fix something that's so poorly put together or has broken down so far, and then to bring it back to something where someone would be happy to live. That kind of is very satisfying for me.
Awesome. Well, Jeff, thank you very much for your time. It's been awesome to sit here and actually have a chat about this project, get a contractor's perspective on what it's like to do a project like this. We still have 2 more phases. We're probably going to go take a look later on what's going on upstairs, and I'm looking forward to how that's developing. And even more excited once the N13 is completed and the tenants in the back are out, and we can actually do the restructuring that needs to be done back there, because that is probably the biggest dog's breakfast of this whole project.
This is a mess. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, man.
We'll
Good to see you again.
We will be here for a while, so I'll see you.
Awesome.
All right, thanks a lot.